Hello there, welcome to We Are Crafted in His Image. I'm here today with another Technique Tuesday, and as we've been going through the alphabet, we are now under the letter G, and G is for gilding, and we are going to be using our gilded leafing flakes, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways to apply those and to use them in your crafting. So let's get started. This card actually isn't finished. We're going to finish it a little bit later at the end, but yeah, we're going to go ahead and work on that. The first way we're going to use the gilding flakes is on our leaves. And what I have done here is I've already die cut these out, but I die cut them with adhesive sheets already on them. And normally, if you're not familiar, this is our adhesive, part of our adhesive sheet, and you see it has, you peel this off and it has sticky, and you apply that to your cardstock, and then you peel the other backing off, and then your cardstock is then sticky. And generally, you put this on your cardstock and you die cut like you would put it on here, and then you'd put your die on this side and you run it through so that the sticky is on the back side of your project. However, for this one, we are going to have the sticky on the front side of our project so that we can then apply some gilding to it. And so I'm going to use this just to kind of contain my gold, my gilding flakes. And you see I'm just going to peel that backing off, and now my leaf is sticky. I'm just going to lay that down here. Maybe it'll let go of my finger. And one thing you will need is a paintbrush, and I like to use one that is pretty firm, pretty solid, and you're just gonna open this up. Now, one word of caution: do not sneeze while you have this open, because these flakes are very, you can see just moving, just that little bit of air, you see them moving there, they will go flying everywhere. So don't breathe really heavy, and definitely don't sneeze. So I'm just going to pick up one of these big flakes and stick it on here. And if you've never used gilding flakes before, they're very easy. You think, oh, I'm going to waste all of this, but you're not, because then you're just going to take all these pieces, you're going to break it off, and all those little pieces can still be used. They'll still stick to the sticky areas and eventually cover up your entire leaf with your pieces. And grab another little one there, stick it on, and there we have our leaf here. This one is ready. I've got one more, maybe. Come on, backing. There we go. I don't have fingernails. Oh, this one has the split on it. There we go. Okay, since it's stuck to my finger, I will start out on this side. And then, there we go. And you just keep rubbing, and that's why I like to have a stiff brush, because it breaks off those extra pieces. And there we have 3 gilded leaves ready to go. And I like it that it is shiny gold, but it's kind of a muted shiny, if that makes sense. It's not like a mirror, it's not super reflective, but it is shiny. So that is our first way to use these. I am going to put that on there just so they don't fly. The second thing we're going to do is I've already stamped and die cut one of my flowers out, and what I'm going to do now, I need a piece of scrap paper. Here we go. And I'm going to put, this is our multi-purpose glue, and I have mentioned in my videos before that when this glue is dry, it stays sticky. And so I'm going to squeeze a little bit onto here. And I'm going to get a fine tip glue paintbrush, and I'm going to pick up some of that glue, and I'm basically just going to paint on some glue where these, what do you call them, the stamens of my flower. I'm just going to paint that on there, and you would do the whole thing, and then you're going to let that dry completely. Make sure it's totally dry, and once it is, I'll set that aside. And this is water-based, so you can clean it off with some water As long as you do it while it's still wet, it'll clean that off for you. But this one here I have done earlier, so it's already dried and ready. And I'm going to come back in here. Ooh, that's why. Get that out of the way. And grab another one of these leaves or little thing of gold. Put that on and then rub off the excess. And look how pretty that is. Now this one came out much better even than my sample, because on my sample I did not wait long enough for it to really dry, whereas this one here it's been drying for a while, so the edges, this really took to the fine lines much better. Look how pretty that is. Woohoo! So there's our second way of doing it. And actually, while I have this out, this is the same thing. This is that, whoop, these dots, I don't know if you can see them very well in the camera right here. There's some dots right here. Those were my glue, and I just dotted those on, and they were pretty rounded, and I have let them dry overnight, so they're very dry, but they're sticky. So I'm going to do the same thing right now. I'm going to pick up some of this, stick it on my little dots, brush it off. Get the excess. Don't need much of this. Ooh, got gold everywhere. And there, now I have some little gold pearls on my project. Alright, so set that aside. Ooh, see? Then the last way you can do that, to do this, is to use our heat emboss powder. Excuse me, heat and stick powder that we have, which is an embossing powder. And I'm going to do that actually once we get to a certain point in our card. So let me start assembling. Here I have my card base. I already have a score line in the middle there, so I'm going to fold that. Let me grab my bone folder. Alright. And then I have already taken the dies that go with this stamp set, and I've cut that center die out. And I'm just going to set this on here just so I can see where I want to stamp. So I'm just going to lay it there. And then I need my thank you stamp. Use a bigger one. And I need some Versamark ink. Now actually, before I do that part, I want to do, I've done this usually when I emboss. What I prefer to do, where did I do with it? There it is to make sure my paper is not sticky. So I'm going to come in with my embossing buddy here and rub all over this. Then, oh, I don't have a spoon in this one yet. Grab another one. Then I'm going to take and just kind of drop some of this powder on here just to make sure it's not going to stick to my paper, that there's no staticky areas. That looks pretty good. Everything comes off, so we're good. So now let's do that again. Put this back in here. I've got my Versamark ink here. Ink that up really well. I think I need to re-ink this pretty soon. I've been using embossing. I've been embossing quite a few projects lately, and I think it's time for me to re-ink. There we go. And now put that right about there. It's pretty much dead center on the card. Lift that up. And the reason I did this before I had put that down is I didn't want any of my powder getting stuck down inside this. So let's make sure we're covered really well. And then I do have a few little spots here. I can go ahead and get rid of those. There we go. And now basically you're going to heat emboss this just like you would embossing powder, but you want to make sure that you do not overheat it. If you heat it too long, it will no longer be sticky. So you just want to heat it until it's shiny. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my heat tool. And I'm going to put this in autofocus so I can raise this up and hopefully it'll stay in focus for you. Because I like to heat from the underside so I don't blow. Oops, hold on. Oh, it did it again. I tapped a whole bunch off of there that I didn't want to tap off. So let's see if I can get some more stuck to that. Whoop. This is because my Versamark needs to be re-inked. My Versamark is not as sticky as it normally would be. There we go. Okay, now I want to make sure that I heat this from the bottom so that it doesn't knock any more of that powder off. Now you see it melting and it's turning shiny, and that's what you want. You want it to be shiny. And there we go. So that's ready, and now it is actually sticky. Go ahead and, oh, there it is. Get this back out. Get my gold flakes. Woo! And we're going to do the same thing, just like we did before. Just going to go ahead and get that those gold flakes on there and start rubbing off the excess. Let the little bits stick to the other parts. Ooh, that should do the whole thing. Yep. Isn't that cool? Like I said, I do like the Gilded flakes because they are shiny, but they're not overly shiny. And I also like the fact that you can basically paint this on wherever you want, like I did this. You do whatever design you want with the glue and turn it gold. Alright, let's put the lid on that. And now we can start assembling our card. Where's my big brush at? There it is. Brush all these extra pieces off. Move that over and start assembling. So here we have the background piece, and I'm going to put adhesive. And one of my previous cards I used this die and I did not add any, I just did that basically, but I found that my card was catching on things, that these pieces were catching. So I am going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue just on some of the bigger dots, just to kind of hold that down so it doesn't catch as it goes in and out of an envelope or when you're writing on it or whatever. You don't want it ripping and tearing. So there. Okay. Get that centered. And I'm going to go ahead and put a block just to hold those down for a second or two till they're dry, while I put dimensionals on the back of my flower. There we go. Oh, and I forgot, I did want to do some stamping. So let me get a bigger block. Let that hold down for a minute. I'm going to stamp the flower on the inside. I'm going to do the smaller flower. On the inside, I need cherry cobbler. I like cherry cobbler and gold together. I just think they're such a pretty combination. And I'm going to stamp that in this corner right here. And if I had an envelope handy to me, I would stamp an envelope as well with the same thing. But I don't have that close to hand at the moment. So there we go. So that's going to go on the inside. And now let's put our card together. Finish it up. Okay, we know that this is going to go over here. And these are going to go inside. So let's go ahead and get some adhesive. Put a little on here. Stick that down. Where? Oh, here we go. I don't have my pokey tool handy either. I'll put a little bit of adhesive on the back of both of these, if I can pick them up. And I tend to just put adhesive at the base of my leaves. I leave the top portions loose. I don't know why, I just always have. Okay. So this one's going to go about there. Stay. And this one will go here. Get in there. Get back in there. Stay put. Let that hold for just a second or two. I'll put this away. Okay, let's remove the backings. Oh, my fingers are sticky now. That one is especially sticky. Oh, oh. That one doesn't have the backing off yet. And that one doesn't have the backing off yet. There we go. Oh, I love how that came out. That just came out really good. Oh, I totally forgot to put this back on manual focus. I hope it hasn't been going in and out on you the whole time. I guess I'll see when I check the video, huh? There we go. Ta-da! Put some adhesive on the back of this. And inside it goes. And there we have our finished gilded card with 3 different ways. Oh, I forgot. So this one here, I've got these dots. So to do that, I'm just gonna make a dot of the glue and let it build up. So you have like a raised pearl there. And then maybe one up here. And then the key thing is you need to set this aside where it's not going to be disturbed overnight so that those don't get smeared at all. And then, or at least a couple of hours, so those are totally dry. And then you can do the gilding step on it. Alright? So, I hope you enjoyed this project. I'm actually going to move this off screen because if I don't, I'm going to end up smearing it. I hope you enjoyed this technique with the gilding flakes. And until next time, God's love and blessings to you. Bye!